So you've done the right thing at the beginning of the year, and you've written down your goals, you've set your goals, and you've tried the routines. You've bought the planner, but nothing seems to stick. And you start wondering why do your New Year's resolutions always fail within the same quarter? What if I told you that the problem isn't your habits, the problem isn't you, but rather the problem is how you see yourself? Join me in today's video as I go over why your habits keep failing and really it's not what you think. Welcome everybody, what's up, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into why your habits keep failing. And I'm currently doing a series on habits because it's an area that I have noticed in myself that I keep falling at. And so I started really digging deep and trying to learn as much as I can about habits in order to try and understand myself. And so I just thought I'd take you along on the journey and share what I've been finding out with you. And so, really, I always used to think that I keep um, flaking on my resolutions because I'm lazy or because I lacked motivation. But really, it's not because you're lazy or or you lack the willpower to see through your resolutions. You might really just be using the wrong operating system. Today, we're diving into the one thing that most people miss when they're trying to build better habits, and really it is your paradigm. Um, a paradigm, put simply, is the way that you see the world. It's like a lens through which you view the world. And here's the twist: you don't act on what's real, but you act on what you believe is real. And so I always give this example when trying to help people understand why us as people, as individuals, we could be looking at the exact same thing, but coming away with different observations or coming away with different conclusions or viewpoints. I look at it from the perspective of uh, the stained glass windows in a church. If you've been to the Roman Catholic Church or like a cathedral, you'll see all those beautiful stained uh, glass windows with different colors, right? Um, so if two people were to be looking through a glass, one is looking through a blue stained glass window, the other looking through a green stained glass window, and another looking through a yellow stained glass window, and looking at the exact same tree from those different stained glass window. They're going to be looking at the tree but seeing it in different colors. And no matter how much you can discuss it, no matter how much you try and make the other person look at it from your point of view, you will never come out away with the same conclusion because you're all looking at this exact same tree from different lenses, from different stained glass windows. And so similarly, us in our own lives, right? Our worldview, our viewpoints of situations, scenarios, is colored by our life experiences, our upbringing, the region in which we live in, or the way that we see ourselves. So unless each and every one of us comes and starts looking at a situation from the same perspective or from the same paradigm, that is the way that we view the world, we will be seeing the exact same situation, but coming away with different viewpoints. So, so this is the same thing that I found out or that I learned as I was reading up on paradigms. So just for your information, if you want to go and read further, I was reading the 7 habits by Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey. It's a classic, beautifully written, that has been around for years and years and years. And it really helps us understand about the important habits. But then the chapter that I'm focusing on today is the one that talks about inside out. That most of the time, when we're trying to change habits, when we're trying to come up with a new routine, we usually try and um, change the outer layers first instead of starting from the inside. So we want to change the outcome without doing the inner work that sponsors the outcome. So the book is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey is a good one for you to have a look at for further reading. And Inside Out is the particular chapter that I'll be discussing. And then the other book that I was looking at was Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I actually have a physical copy of it with me today here. This is what it looks like. It's been doing the rounds. It's been doing the rounds on the internet. A beautifully written book, very simple, very easy to read and digest and take away many great lessons. And the chapter that talks about that paradigm or that inside out um, uh, uh, lens of looking at change is how your habits change, how your habits shape your identity, and vice versa. I think it's chapter 2. So this is chapter. And so James Clear puts it really clearly. James Clear puts it clearly like that. About the paradigms that also Stephen Covey discusses. So he talks about identity-based habits. So whereas most of the time when we're trying to change, when we're trying to build ourselves up and get into new routines, almost all the time focus on the outcome. So we're looking at, okay, I want to become fit. I want to be a writer. I want to be I want to read more, or I want to write more, or I want to lose 20 pounds. So we're looking at the outcome, and so we start our journey of change from the outcome that we want to see, but we really don't do a lot of the background work that is sponsoring the outcome. So the second layer to that would be changing our processes. So putting systems in place around us that ensure that we're getting the outcome, right? But not really dealing with the core person. So which is the identity. So James Clear puts it in 3 levels. So there is when you're trying to change, you could change the outcome, which is the outer layer, right? Or you could change your process. The next best thing would be to change the processes, right? That will sponsor the outcome. That way, you set yourself up for success. You put in the routine that will give you success, right? And then the third most important part of change is looking at the identity. So whereas before, you've put in the processes, you've put in the systems in place to help you to change, right? And you've put in the routines. You tell yourself, I'm going to be at the gym on Wednesday and Friday, right? I'm going to get a personal trainer that will help me keep on track, right? We forget the reason why we fall off the wagon is because we forget now the fundamental identity part of the process, which is, okay, you've set the routine, but you still need to be the person that shows up, right? You still need to be the person that uh, that does the thing that you want, who is disciplined enough to do the thing that you say you want to do in order to get the outcome that you've desired, right? And so with the identity-based habit, you are now changing your paradigm, which is what we were talking about earlier, and the way you see yourself so that it can sponsor you showing up for the processes. And as you're showing up for the processes, you then change the outcome. So it's a three-layered process. Most of the time, we're just looking at it's sometimes just the outcome. And then when we become a little bit more mature, we're looking at the process. But then the highest level is looking at the identity, how we see ourselves, shifting the paradigm of how we view ourselves so that we can change fundamentally. And once we've changed fundamentally, then we get the outcome that we desire. So what do I mean by all this, right? um, what do we mean by changing fundamentally how we see ourselves? So as an example, have you ever been in a situation whereby, your dad was bad in mathematics, your auntie was bad in mathematics, your sister was bad in mathematics, your brother was bad in mathematics, and therefore by the time you went to school, you just have already decided that your family is no good in maths. And so already you started out with a canvas that, you know what, this is a family thing. We've never been good in maths. It's a family thing. We'll never be good in math. And so most likely you're not going to be good in math because it just becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy that because your family is not good in math, then you're not going to be good in math, right? But then if you shift the paradigm that, hang on a minute, maybe my dad wasn't good in math because perhaps he had a bad math teacher. But now I've got an opportunity because I've got a better math teacher. I've got YouTube now. I can watch videos of mathematics or people teaching math. I can try and find different approaches on how um, I can learn mathematics. So now you've shifted the paradigm from my family is no good in math, therefore I'm not good in math, to um, I can be good in math because I've got resources and teachers and mentors that can help me to achieve my mathematics goal. It doesn't matter if I suck the first time, right? I can keep trying, I can keep striving. But in this paradigm where, okay, our family's not good in math and therefore I'm not good in math, you're not even going to be trying, you're not even going to show up, right? Another example would be uh, a perfect one that I have had for a long time is that I can't implement this habit because I'm not a morning person, right? I'm not a morning person. I've never liked waking up in the morning. But I tell you what, where there was a time in my career where I worked on site, and on site, you wake up every day at 5 a.m. because you have to start work at 6 a.m. And you're at work from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. You're working 12-hour days, right? There was never a day that I missed work because I didn't hear my alarm or uh, or because I'm not a morning person. For some reason, that idea that I'm not a morning person wasn't even given the opportunity to grow and to find expression anymore because I knew in my mind that I had no choice. The choice was be at work at 6 a.m. or be at work at 6 a.m. And so my behind, whether I wanted to or not, I whether I desired it or not, whether I was happy about it or not, whether I was excited about it or not, my behind was at work at 6 a.m. in the morning, right? And so clearly that paradigm that I'm not a morning person was not true because I managed to be at work at 6 a.m. every day, Monday to Friday for like 2, 3 years. So clearly that paradigm that I'm not a morning person was not correct. It's just that I was giving myself an excuse to not achieve my goals, my desires, because I was giving myself the idea that I was not a morning person. But once that paradigm shifted, because I thought that I didn't have a choice, then um, all of a sudden I was a morning person because there was money involved. I was all of a sudden a morning person. So Stephen Covey calls this the inside out approach. Real change begins with you, your thoughts, your beliefs, and assumptions. If you change that, if you change fundamentally your thoughts, your beliefs, your assumptions about yourself, your habits will follow. And so, as I mentioned earlier, James Clear expands on this in Atomic Habits. He says that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. That means that your habits flow from your identity. And so once you change that paradigm, your identity of who you see yourself, instead of saying I'm a morning person, therefore I can't go jogging at 5:30, to I can wake up in the morning because I am the kind of person that seizes the day. Or, if you want to quit smoking, as an example, and you're given a cigarette, changing the paradigm from, oh, I'm trying to stop smoking, to the paradigm of, I do not smoke. Um, when you change that paradigm, your identity, um, and you change if you change that paradigm, your habits will follow and will flow from that identity that you're now ascribing to yourself. So most of us try to change from the outside in. So we download a habit tracker. As I said, you're now putting the processes in place, which is the second layer. We start a new routine or copy someone else's life. But if deep down you believe that, I'm not a disciplined person, or you believe that I'll always give up, I never stick to my goals, or if you believe, oh, I'm not a morning person, you will sabotage your own progress. So here's the challenge that I have for you today. Don't just do differently. Start to see yourself differently. If you want to build habits that last, begin with a new paradigm. Think, I'm someone who follows through, then uh, build the tiny habits to prove it. James Clear talks about, each and every time that you show up to complete the task, or work or do the habit that you said that you want to do, right? It is a vote towards the new person that you want to become, and therefore a positive change for for your paradigm, or how you see yourself. Each and every time you show up, each and every time you do that habit, it's slowly changing how you view yourself, right? Um, and so I will just leave you with this. This from James Clear's book is what I've been talking about. You see all these three layers. The third layer is the outcome, the second is the process, and then the first is the identity. And so to be able to build lasting habits, to build good habits that will stick, we need to start with the first layer, which is the identity. And as we build the identity, all these other layers will fall into place. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is just the beginning. Uh, Next week, we'll dive more deeply into habits. I'm actually going to be doing a series on this. So, if you're enjoying this content, and if you want to work on your habits and build lasting change in your habits, please give this video a thumbs up so that you will see more content like this. And most of all, don't forget to subscribe so that each and every time that I release a new video, you will be the first to see it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you managed to take away one or two lessons from this video, that, it's important, very, very important for us to look at our paradigm and shift our paradigm in our bid to change our habits and how we show up in the world. Thanks everyone for your time. Really appreciate it. Until next time. See ya.